about ice cream. Ice cream, you scream. When we talk about African cinema, which I don't like to talk about, because there's many African films made by different African filmmakers, but we've been pegged to be very heavy-handed in the themes that we're trying to put across in social issues. And I think any film that you make is politics. Any film you make with real characters is politics, because they come from a social past. They have particular ideas. They have a political system that inevitably, especially coming out of Africa, goes against their own human rights, you know? So just being able to tell a real story about a real person, for me, makes enough of a commentary, especially if you're being really specific about who the person is and what they're trying to achieve. So my next project is about a young girl who is about 16 years old. And she decides that she's going to take down the local drug lord in her area, in Mombasa, because she feels that the drug lord is the reason her family is being devastated. So rather than dealing with the internal issue of her family and her role in the family as an enabler, say, she tries to fight an external pressure. So the themes that I would be dealing with obviously are drugs, addiction, the degradation of family, corruption, but all of those are interwoven into the story. I'm not making a drug film, I'm making a film about a family. My producer, Rebecca Chandler, is originally from America but lives in Kenya now. And we started working together. Our first project was a documentary about Wangari Maathai. And we've been working together since, or trying to develop projects since. Yeah. I've worked with other production companies even during the time that I've been with her, but we just recently started a production company together. The first feature I made was in 2008, and that's From a Whisper. Yeah. And that's about a bomb blast that happened in 1998 as a result of an attack, a terrorist attack on the US Embassy.
No one will ever know how much I love you. No one but us.
Tamani, what is there to believe in?
Do you know how many people must have taken to maintain a lie like this? Do you realize that?
Abu.
So this is the art gallery. She calls them art pieces. Tamani.
Get out!
Come on!
Hapo pana jambo hapa. Faridi, sipendi menendo yako. Kakangu nakusihi, tafadhali wachana na mambo haya. Hujui uzito wa mambo haya. Hujui lolote kuhusu kujitolea mhanga.
Sitokuruhusu.
Tells a story of a young girl who lost her mother and a man who realizes that his best friend is a suicide bomber, and how the young girl and the man help each other come to terms with what happened in the past.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. That's a whole lot of cream. I knew I wanted to be a filmmaker for a long time, but my parents thought that it would be better for me to have a proper degree. So I think I'm a very driven person. I know what I want. I know that I want to continue to make films, and to be in the film industry, you have to be driven. You have to be. You have no choice. Otherwise, you'd give up, because it doesn't make you money. It's definitely not financially rewarding. So you have to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And you have to remind yourself almost constantly. I've made 5 films in the last 5 years. The rewards of making films is that I get to tell my stories. I get to create my worlds. I get to create characters. And I get to work in the industry that I love. I love being able to do that. I love being able to write. I love being able to see the things that I write come to life. Or scripts that I have come to life. And that's more important to me than most things, unfortunately. I went to Warwick University to study a Bachelor of Science in Management Science. And the reason I chose that degree in particular was because I could cater the course to suit the things that I wanted to do. I could cater it to suit film in a particular way. So I managed to take creative writing, history of television, history of film. I also managed to specialize or cater my course so that it was more about service operations management rather than products operations management. And that was my emphasis, because risk assessment within service operations management and risk assessment within project management and things like that, because I knew that the film industry was largely a project-driven service operations management job. So that's what I emphasized. While I was in Warwick, I applied to UCLA. So I went from Warwick to UCLA, and when I got admitted, I was the youngest person to be admitted into the film school at the time, because the average age was about 32, because everybody had had jobs and life experience before they went into film school, and that's how UCLA liked it. But I guess I struck a chord with the people who I was working, or who interviewed me, and I was granted a scholarship, so I managed to go to UCLA on scholarship. It was great. I always consider it like the womb of filmmaking for me, because for the first time, I was completely indulgent. I could eat, breathe, sleep, talk, dream films 24/7.
Camera ready? Scene one, take two, mark it.
We're going to be doing a driving stunt, a couple of gun effects. We're going to be rigging an actor with an explosive experience. This is how we do it.
Guns are hot. Guns are flying back on set. Let's get actors to one. Sound and camera ready.
Scene one, Nick. Take one, mark.
Action. Bang, bang. And cut. Thanks, guys.
We would have conversations about characters the way you gossip about friends. So Peter did this and Peter did that, and Peter's an imaginary character. And that was such a great place to be, because it completely nurtured your style, it completely nurtured your spirit, and it completely nurtured the filmmaker in you. And that's really when I began to realize the responsibility and the enormity and the task of being a filmmaker. When I'm pitching, I'm a performer, but that's the only time I perform. But then again, I don't know, because I have different people. Because naturally, I'm a homebody. And the only time I actually go out and socialize is when I'm at a film festival. Otherwise, I prefer to be home, to read my books, to watch my movies, to write my scripts, and that's really all I do. When I come to film festivals, I'm out and about. I'm going to sleep when I go back to Nairobi. No, actually, I'm going to try and get to Mombasa as quickly as possible. I live in Mombasa. I'm going to go to the beach, I'm going to swim in the ocean, and I'm going to start writing my script for the next couple of months. There's two. There's one right next to Samaki Lane in Mombasa, on the Nyali side. And another one that's in between Nyali Beach and somewhere else. It's so beautiful, but so remote and random. And during the week, it's completely empty, and it's only you and the fisherman. But there's one particular fisherman who last week approached me, and he says, "I know, can I have your film?" And I have never been so pleased, so chuffed in my life that a fisherman knew that I make films. And he invited me into his little fisherman hut, and he said, anytime you come onto the beach, come to my little fisherman hut. And for me, that was it. That was my can right there. That was my can. I got into the Producers Network because of Cinema du Monde. They invited me here and put us in the Producers Network.
Oui. Ma che cazzo ci fai? E non ci posso di voir quand
which I thought was a great thing, because we've been able to meet people that we would ordinarily never be able to meet. Companies like Fortissimo Films, who are interested not only in European and American films coming from Asia and Africa. Also, they organize lunches where you would meet people who can fund the types of films that you have. They hooked me up with producers who were interested in Africa, and I've had really great meetings as a result. What happens for the breakfast meetings is that you go for the breakfast, you choose which table you want to sit on, and at that table there's a head of a company, a head of a fund, a head of a whatever you want to sit with, and they talk to you about their fund. They talk to you about the possibilities, and you literally pitch to them, and you pitch to the rest of the table. And what I found is that you're more likely to walk away with more interesting context from everybody else than the person who's speaking. Because the people who are sitting around the table are also looking for talent. They're also looking for projects, as well as trying to fund their own. I sat with people from Ecuador, Peru, Brazil, Uzbekistan, China, all forms of Europe, everywhere. There wasn't that much of an African representation other than the people who were brought from Cinema du Monde. The audiovisual attaché to the French Embassy in Kenya, Antoine, he saw my film at the Kenya International Film Festival, and he invited me to then participate. Or the French Embassy sponsored my ticket here, and Cinema du Monde put me up for accommodation and meals while I was here. Antoine is great. He's about to leave, so we're a bit upset about that. But he's been not only a great inspiration, but just a great ambassador for film out of Kenya. Look for it. The trailer is online, and do look out for it. Really appreciate it.
Everyone can be like you.
Oh, sorry.
Wow.
I'm more used to questions. It's easier if you give me questions.
But you didn't need? I'm sorry.
That was my can right there. That was my can.